Well, I want to start out by saying that I love my family. I really do. I wouldn't take anything for my family. I think in the interest of full disclosure, I have never been offered anything for my family. My family was getting smaller and smaller, and then my niece got married, and then my nephew got married, and my family started getting larger. Now between them, they have 3 children, and I got to see them at Christmas. Beautiful girls, energetic girls with amazingly strong lungs and sleep schedules that are as crazy as mine and much different than mine. So my family is larger now, and I love that very much. We had 15 at Christmas dinner, which is almost double from recent holidays. I love it. I thought about this yesterday. Of those 15, I was the only Asbury at the table. I have other relatives scattered around, mostly in West Virginia. I haven't seen them in many, many years. To be honest, I don't consider them to be family in my definition of the word. I consider them to be relatives. We haven't had a falling out, just a fading away, time and distance, that's all. I have cousins that I haven't seen in 35 years or more. I'd love to see some of my cousins, but I wouldn't recognize them after all this time. We'd have to be reintroduced. I haven't seen them since I was a teenager, some of them. And at that time, I interacted with my cousins. I was either a childish child or a boyish boy or a young teenager. And when I was young, I was usually either a curmudgeon or a clown. And my cousins brought out the curmudgeon in me. I really didn't like my cousins, to be honest. To me, cousins were like broccoli. Broccoli isn't food. Broccoli comes with the food. They'll only give you so much food for $15.95, and they're going to fill the rest of the plate with broccoli. To me, cousins weren't relatives. They came with the relatives. When the aunts and uncles came to visit, I preferred to be with them, watching them all play a game of rook with my parents, dutifully keeping score, announcing the score often, enforcing the rules with an iron fist. I didn't want to be with my cousins, and I felt like I had plenty of good reasons to feel that way. Now, for the most part, I got along with my cousins. There were a couple of cousins that I even liked a little bit. Cousin Dennis was a great guy, and I found out that about 10 or 12 years ago that he died of AIDS and was memorialized on the AIDS quilt that came to Charlotte a few years ago. I went to see that quilt, and I looked for his name, but I couldn't find it. Sadly, that was a huge quilt. There was one other cousin that I remember by name. Cousin Robin was very nice and very pretty. I always remembered her name because Cousin Robin had a head that looked like a robin egg. I kept that to myself because even though we were the same age, she was always about 2 feet taller than me. And now she must be about 8 feet tall. Some of my cousins were just odd. I had one cousin that cried when he ate ice cream. He wasn't suffering from brain freeze. He'd just eat and cry and eat and cry. I think he may have seen one of us cry to get ice cream and just didn't understand the concept. My sister's name is Sheila. I had one cousin who called her Shella because it sounded better. My relatives, Haven and Sally, had children who were my cousins. There were a lot of them. It was difficult to get a head count because they moved around a lot, but I think there was about 30. One thing I knew for sure was that serving sizes at all meals were going to be way down that week. There was going to be Tang, a lot of Tang. I was used to orange juice. The kids were rowdy and loud, and they could break an anvil. When they came to visit, they'd usually arrive one Saturday and stay for a week. Our house had one big key. It fit the front door, the back door, and every door in the house, and it had an old white shoestring attached to it. On Friday, I would put my stereo, all of my toys, all of my games, all of my model cars in the closet. I would lock the door, and I would hang that key around my neck, and it would stay there until they left the next Saturday. My cousins were very odd.